Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to the channel. Wanting to make this video to show you what's on my list for a track day. So my first track day a few years back, I didn't know what to bring with me. I was totally unprepared and it was far more involved than I thought it was. But I'm gonna go through this list of items that I've put on this list in preparation for the track days. It's gonna range from items that are mandatory, items that are such as tools and miscellaneous items. And then the last one is gonna be your comfort. So I'm gonna start with mandatory items. And again, these are items that are most likely required by the track day organizers. The first one's gonna be your safety helmet. This is gonna be a requirement from any track day or track organizer or event holder that you're gonna go with. A helmet is a requirement and you are gonna need it. And depending on your event organizer, they may require you to have a race number, and that race number needs to be on the car when you're on track. Depending on who you go with, they will require you to have whether a stick-on number or maybe a magnetic number, one that isn't the blue painter's tape. And that's pretty much for the mandatory items. If you are experienced or have been to a couple track days and you have items that are on your mandatory list or you think that should go on the mandatory list, please let me know. The next one on the list for the tools and miscellaneous section is gonna be your toolbox. Now you don't need to bring a complete set. I really just have a Craftsman, I think 123 piece portable toolbox that I bring with me. I don't think I've ever used it, but it's better to have it there and not need it than need it and not have it. You're also gonna wanna bring a floor jack. In the case that you do need to work on your car, maybe something becomes loose, you need to lift up the car, you need to inspect something underneath the car. In addition to your tools to do that work, you need a way to lift up your car, so I guess I would recommend a floor jack. So the next one on the list are my track wheels. Now, on my first track day, I just used the OEM wheels with the OEM tires or the stock tires. It is my daily driver, so I don't want to necessarily get a good set of wheels and a good set of tires to put on the car to daily drive with, so I do have a separate wheels for track days. So since I do have a spare set of wheels and I do bring them to the track and I put them on at the track, I do bring a breaker bar. It's one of these just regular Craftsman breaker bars. I don't have an impact drill, so this is something that I use to break the lugs, or at least loosen the lugs. And then on top of that, putting on the wheels there, I do have a torque wrench that I bring to the track. And this is to ensure, obviously, that the lug nuts are torqued down to spec. Now, if you don't have a spare set of wheels and you're driving to the track day with the wheels that you have on the car, obviously this is stuff that you've probably done the prior day or leading up to the track day, making sure you're doing your self-tech and ensuring that the lug nuts are tightened to the spec. The mistake that I've done before is not to have the correct size deep socket. Had to go around the track and ask people if they had, I believe it was a 21 deep socket. So along with the torque wrench, the breaker bar, your wheels, if you have the wheels to put them on, make sure that you have the proper size socket size. Next on my list is a tire pressure gauge to make sure that your PSIs are at the optimal pressures. Depending on which track you're at, they may not have fuel there or fuel pumps there. I believe Chuckwalla has fuel pumps, Buttonwillow has fuel pumps, as well as Streets of Willow. But again, depending on which track you're at, they may not offer fuel there. So I do recommend on bringing extra fuel. When I get to the track, I'm typically at 80% fuel capacity for my gas tank, and then I have another 10-gallon gas tank that I either fuel up just to leave and go to the gas station after the track day, or I use some of that fuel for the last session and then use the rest of it obviously to get myself to the next gas station. A big one for myself, because I don't like to get my hands dirty and then touching my steering wheel, is latex gloves. If you are working on your car, or if you're switching out your OEM wheels for the track wheels, your hands are gonna get dirty. So on my list, I do have latex gloves. Now I do bring a GoPro to the track, and I mount it to my helmet on this point right here. I don't have a half cage that I can mount it on, but I do mount it to the helmet. Yeah, it really helps on seeing where your mistakes are at and seeing the lines that you're taking, and the approaches that you're taking for each turn. So that's why I bring a GoPro, to watch my footage after the track day. And then the last tool and miscellaneous item would be my fire extinguisher. If you've seen my previous video, this has a quick release mount attached to it already, that's already hooked up to the car. So whenever I do a track day, all I have to do is just pull this pin, attach it to the mount that's already in the car, and then attach the pin back. But this is definitely a good item. It's another one of those items that it's better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it. I'm gonna leave a link in the description below to the quick release fire extinguisher mount, so that way if you haven't already seen it. And that's it for the tools and miscellaneous items. I'm gonna move on to the comfort items now. These are items that you don't need, but it's nice to have them for a long track day. We're there from 7 o'clock in the morning to 5 o'clock in the afternoon at the last session, and that's if they're running on time. The first comfort item are your liquids, and that's gonna be your water, your Gatorade, your tea, whatever that liquid is, to make sure that you're replenished. Depending if it's in the summer, it may be hot, so you wanna stay hydrated. If it's in the winter, it's not so bad, but more for comfort, you wanna have something to drink. Your snacks, it is gonna be a long day, like I said, so you wanna have some snacks. If you're at a track like Buttonwillow or Chuckwalla, they do offer food, they do sell food at the track, but if you're at, let's say, Streets of Willow, I don't believe they sell food at Streets of Willow, so you're there all day without any snacks, and it can be miserable. And you want to make sure that you're staying hydrated as well as you're staying fed, so that way you could be optimal on the track. Fold-up chairs are a big thing. I remember one of the track days that I went to, we didn't bring fold-up chairs, so we had to sit in the car, or we sat at the bleachers underneath the awning. But fold-up chairs are definitely on my list. Now, an easy up, I do recommend bringing an easy up. That is on my list. Unfortunately, depending on which track you're at, it may be windy, so you want to make sure you have a good easy up that isn't going to necessarily be blown away, one, and two, collapse with wind, which mine did at Chuckwalla. And the last item on my comfort list are blankets during the winter season. If you're at Buttonwillow in the middle of December, you're going to be really cold. So depending on the weather, make sure that you're bundled up and you have the proper covers, such as a blanket, to make sure you're staying warm. It is a long day from 7 in the morning to 5 o'clock in the afternoon, so make sure that you're bundled up and have a blanket. Thanks for watching, guys. Hopefully this video helped you on your preparation for your first track day, your second, third track day, or if you're already experienced. I know you probably have your own list, but hopefully this helped you on preparing for your own track day and gathering your own items. And you guys have a great night.